When did you finally stop apologizing for existing? Kayla was one of my best friends, but I'd always avoided going to her house because her mom scared the hell out of me. Anytime she saw me, she always had something critical to say about my outfit or my posture or attitude, and I was scared enough of my own parents that I didn't need any more stress. So when I showed up at her door in the middle of winter with my face swollen from crying, I wasn't expecting her to gasp and rush to help me. When I said Kayla told me I could come, she didn't ask any questions. She just moved to the side and said, "No shoes on the carpet. If you're staying here, you'll follow my rules." What she didn't know was that I would have done anything she asked if it got me out of my parents' house where my dad had started coming into my room and climbing on top of me every night while my mother refused to believe anything was wrong. I hadn't told anyone about that, not even Kayla. She just thought my parents and I had a fight. I walked in and her house smelled like butter and garlic. I sat at the kitchen table in a chair that didn't wobble. My stomach growled loud enough to wake the dead, and I said, "Sorry, sorry, sorry, sorry." Kayla's mom just sat down at the table across from me and started going over her house rules. She told me I was required to eat breakfast with them every morning. She told me I would be sleeping in a bed, not on a couch. No arguments. If I had a problem at school, she needed to know about it. She said I was not allowed to skip dinner unless I was unconscious or dead, and I was expected to help cook 3 nights a week. Family movie nights were mandatory, and if I made a face about it, she'd put on a musical just to watch me suffer. And then she said, "Listen carefully because this one is important. I have absolutely no idea what you're used to, but if you ever apologize for being hungry in my house again, I will throw a spoon at the wall and say it was an accident." I actually laughed out loud, which made her eyes soften for the first time. Then she went right back to stirring her sauce like I wasn't even there. The first few days at her house were weird. Everything felt like a trap because I was used to rules that didn't make sense, that were designed to confuse you and hurt you. At my old house, my mother would yell at me to clear my plate, but if I ate too much, I got nothing the next day. If I cried, I got locked in my room, except my dad could come in whenever he wanted to, teach me a lesson. If I came home late, the door stayed shut until morning and I had to sleep on the front steps, but then I'd get yelled at for making a scene for the neighbors. So I tested her. One morning I skipped breakfast on purpose. I thought maybe she'd snap, or at least stop looking at me like I mattered. Instead, she waited until I came out after Kayla and her brother had left for school, made me a fresh batch of pancakes without saying a word, and sat there and watched me eat. When I tried skipping family game night, she marched me over to the closet full of board games and asked me to pick my favorite. Later that night, I couldn't take the suspense anymore. I asked her if her rules were the kind that would get me kicked out if I broke them. She looked genuinely confused by the question. Then she said, "No, these are the kind where if you follow them, you get extra allowance." I cried so hard I couldn't speak. She didn't ask why, and she also never asked me when I was leaving. By the 3rd week there, I was stirring sauce beside her at the stove, learning how to season it without measuring. By the 4th week, I asked if I could have her lasagna recipe, and she said I'd need my own recipe box then, because she had a lot more to share. I still couldn't say thank you out loud, but that night I stayed up and wrote a note and slipped it under her bedroom door when no one was watching. I wrote, "Thank you for showing me what a real parent is. I used to think rules were just ways to control people and remind them they don't matter. But your rules are different. You made sure I was warm. You made sure I wasn't hungry. You gave me a home before I even realized I needed one. I don't know if I believe in happy endings, but for the first time in my life, I don't fall asleep afraid. I don't wake up wondering where I'll go. I know what it feels like to be safe, and I know exactly who taught me."